guys. It's Tamra, the Judeo-Christian medium. I feel like it's really early. I'm very shiny. I just worked out and got out of the shower. I'll just wait for a few people to come on, and then I'll go through my notes. Let me also make sure the volume is okay. All right, that's a little bit better. I can see. Okay, so guys, Jesus wanted to follow up on last week and discuss narcissism. So I'm just going to get into my notes that I've written this week about it. I have my window open in New York City, so you're going to hear some noise. But let's see here. Say hi if you come in. Okay. Okay, say hello if you come in, and then ask me questions as I go along. Whatever questions you would like to ask me, let me know. Okay, so today we're going to talk about, oh, hi, Alyssa. We're going to talk about narcissism today. Jesus wants to talk about narcissism. Hi, Lucky. So Jesus really wants to talk about this thing he was calling this dark moment when you hang out. Oh, sorry for the noise, guys. Let's let that ambulance go by. Hi, Wisteria. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So yeah, Jesus wanted to talk about narcissists and toxic people, dark reptilians, and sometimes even reptilians. He wants to talk about this dark moment, and it's very jarring for starseeds, empaths, non-toxic people. And he brought my attention to John Benet Ramsey and Santa, and how, you know, earlier that evening she was at a party. It's fun. She was given presents. Santa said she would receive a special visit. And this is very common with narcissists. And I'm sure many of you know this, but it's like a very early warning sign is when like you're hanging out with someone, and or you know, you have a roommate or you're working with someone, and you're just kind of like joking around and everything's like groovy. Yeah, so oh, that's terrible, Anne Marie. I myself have experienced that, as I'm sure many of you have. But try to, when you meet new people, and try to think back as to when that first, what did Jesus call it? That dark moment. He had me go through relationships and think about that it's that awkward moment, like you'll be at a party and you can tell you're with toxic people because things just get dark. They get toxic. I mean, I can make a million examples, but you can feel the energy drop, because oftentimes if someone is dark reptilian, narcissistic, sometimes even reptilian, or sometimes even, you know, a person of the earth who's neutral, or even sometimes a starseed that is having a dark influence on them. You can just feel the energy change, and Jesus really wants you to pay attention to that. Pay attention to your intuition. Be ready for those moments. Be ready to excuse yourself. Be ready to, Jesus is saying you don't have to change narcissists. You don't have to logically explain how you're feeling. But when that moment happens, he's like, the things that make you go, So how can we trust? Isn't half the population narcissists and reptilians? Well, Jesus said that 50% of the 50% of the population are reptilians, but of that, I mean, it's a sliding scale. Not all reptilians, guys. Hi, Rosa. Not all reptilians are narcissists, so it's a sliding scale. Sorry, message is coming in. Sorry, let me ask him again, like what the percentage is. Yeah, 50% are reptilians, and then of reptilians, he said that the percentage is growing. Right now, he's saying it's probably 10 going on 15. It can be up to 20. You know, it's a sliding scale. But we do have to be careful because there is just a dark reptilian energy feeding off of people right now. And it's because of the imbalance of people in power who are of dark reptilian. Let me make sure, I had my eyes closed. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments. Okay. How can we protect ourselves from narcissists and or negative people? Is there a prayer or mantra we can say? Well, what you can do is get to know people very slowly. And I know that that's really hard, but if a combination of getting to know people slowly plus accepting the fact that there are reptilians and anticipating, that there are reptilians, dark reptilians, you know, people who are different than you are, and anticipating the worst. And I know that sounds terrible, but and Jesus says that, especially here in the States and in other places, sorry for moving the camera, our boundaries are too loose, especially for the time period that we're in. Our boundaries are way too loose. Our boundaries don't match the amount of danger that we're in. And I don't want to be a fear monger, but Jesus tells me this all the time because I'm a very open person. And I'm the type of person that strangers talk to and strangers ask me for help. I'm a helper, and strangers ask me for advice. So Jesus always tells me, you can't do anything if you're not here. And so keep that in mind, guys, as self-protection. Now, that being said, a way that you can stay open to people is good boundaries and getting to know people very slowly, always having a backup plan, making sure that you don't get stuck in a situation where you would be, he's drawing my attention to that woman. She was African American, and she was the only African American woman at this party in, I think it was Georgia. and she mysteriously, ended up passing away. So I need to channel her. She's on my list, but that was not an accident, guys. So things like that, adult sleepovers, no, especially for star seeds, no adult sleepovers, compromising positions like that. Make sure that you have your own transportation. Watch your drinks. Just be very careful of who you're around and what substances they're on. And also, I think it was Wisteria sent me a message about the girl in Russia. Is it Brittany, the basketball player? Let me make sure I'm not missing any comments here. So you have to also respect, yes. So I talked to Jesus very quickly about this. Brittany, am I saying it right? Griner? Oh, is that right? Brittany Griner? Yes, I didn't know about this story, guys. But Jesus said, they haven't, yes, Griner. So the Russian government has not made a final decision, but with all of the checks and balances of everything that's going on in politics, Jesus is saying at this moment, and this can change, that she might have to stay there for a year. And I know that sounds crazy, guys, but this kind of is, Jesus pointed out how everything that I talk about, and then the questions you guys ask, they tend to all kind of go together. Sorry for the sirens. I live right next to a hospital. So, it's so distracting. So it's interesting with this whole idea of boundaries and how they go both ways. And Brittany Griner. So Jesus said that she's probably going to have to stay there for at least a year. And as Americans, we would think what she had in her possession, the CBD oil, cannabis, is not a big deal. But we have to respect other countries, even if it's Russia. We have to, and our young people are traveling, but they look up to us. We have to tell them to, many people here, guys, are not respecting older people, and it's a sliding scale. It goes all the way to, you guys might have seen the video I did with, Barbara Gustern, and how she was pushed down to the ground and passed away. It's from that all the way to any older person speaking up is called a Karen. So anyway, the respect, because of the internet, has gone down. And this is whatever happens on the internet that just starts as a joke. It grows in energy, and it manifests itself in real life. So we have to be very careful of this, guys. Our young people, it's wonderful that we have a lot of freedom, but freedom comes with responsibility. Now, JFK is here. That was his famous line. We need to have a balance, because things like this will happen. This young woman was very unprepared going into Russia. She didn't know the rules. That is her responsibility, her family's, but her government, so let me just say what will probably happen is that she's probably going to have to stay there for at least a year, because they're going to have to make an example out of her, because that's what works. Like, what is that? Lip service doesn't work. And I'm not saying that I want this to happen, but that's probably going to happen. And for the Russians, they would be considering themselves to be very generous in that decision. But guys, we can't fool around when we go to other countries. And Jesus brought me, after you asked that, Wisteria, and I asked him, he brought me to this situation that I just recently had. I'm at my wit's end in New York City. I was at Victoria's Secret. And guys, I can't even tell you how many times I've been out in New York and I've been standing in line and I have someone pushing me, like physically pushing me, and it's oftentimes a tourist. And I know most countries. I traveled for 29 years, and I know that when I'm in their particular country, well, I know if it's true or not, what the customs are. And this group, they were German. I was in line at Victoria's Secret last week, and this group of women who were around my age, one of them kept pushing me, like physically pushing me. I gave the look, and then the second I said, oh, can you, please give me some space? And then she purposely went around and looked at like lip gloss so that she'd have to come back into the line, and there was no space for her to do that. And I have a back injury. Guys, she just pushed me out of the way. And I turned around and I said this, yes, aggressive pushing, guys. And this is from tourists. And this fits right in with boundaries, okay? The tourists, some of the tourists here don't have any boundaries. They come here, they think New Yorkers are aggressive and they're gonna just be aggressive. But actually, people who live in Manhattan generally wouldn't do that, would not do that. They would fear for their safety. So tourists are coming here and acting crazy, and then other tourists see them acting crazy and think they're New Yorkers, and they start acting crazy. So I turned around and I looked at them all in the eyes and I said, I just want to let you know that I'm armed. And many people are in New York. I just want to let you know that it's not very safe to touch people here. And they looked like, hi Mimi, they looked horrified, just absolutely horrified. And they waited for me outside of Victoria's Secret. It was like 3 mean girls from Germany, yeah. So I came out and I looked over at them, and I am armed. I put my hand in my bag and held it, and they like ran. They were like, I was like, you don't believe me? So of course, guys, I'm like, I wouldn't do anything, but this is all tying in together about boundaries and how they work both ways. New York cowgirl. Oh, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, guys. But oftentimes tourists, in order to get you to move out of the way or to like leave your subway seat, or sometimes they're a huge group and they want your table, like at a cafe or something, they'll just, like at Starbucks, they'll just pull up their chairs and talk over you and touch your things. It's really awkward. But this is a big, thank you, Diane. This is a big lesson for us, but as star seeds, which I'm sure many of you are, empaths, sensitive people, we really, really have to watch our boundaries. And it's unfortunate, but so let's see, that dark moment when you're hanging out. Yeah, the energy drops. It will just get awkward for no reason. But anyway, that's what many young people who are taken advantage of, I want to choose my words, like John Bonet was, it's very confusing. It's very confusing to go from like being jovial and having fun to all of a sudden the energy dropping. And that's when you know you're with toxic people. You know, people who aren't toxic, yes, we can be in a bad mood, but we will, you know, you need to be mature and say like, okay, you know, I'm tired, I'm gonna go to sleep, or this and that. Toxic people will just, they'll turn on a dime, and there will be a very dark moment, and you know, they're testing the supply, the empath, the starseed, to see how you handle it. And Jesus says, as best as you can, you have to remove yourself from those situations. As light workers, healers, star seeds, we are here to help people. We're helpers. But unfortunately, that can make us stay in toxic situations. Yeah, Alyssa, I'm like, I'm armed. I had my Victoria's Secret bag in one hand, and I had my other bag that I was carrying, and I just reached my hand in it and looked them right in the eyes, like, yeah, I meant it. I was totally bluffing, but I mean, like bluffing, like I wouldn't use it, but like, don't try me. Oh God. So okay. So Jesus was bringing me to thinking about Keanu Reeves, and he wants starseeds to know that there is, in some areas, okay, we're in a spiritual battle, like I've said. In some areas we're losing, in some areas we're winning. Well, the Keanu Reeves factor of people like suddenly like loving him, that's definitely one for our team. And Jesus brought me to had me like look up Keanu Reeves, and I found this picture of him, and it was in 2019, and he was I believe at Billy's Bakery or Magnolia in New York, and he was eating a cupcake alone on his birthday and buying people like coffee and dessert. And that's wonderful. That's something like very, very starseed. But Jesus wanted me to tell you all that he was not happy that day. He was not happy spending his birthday alone. And Jesus is very happy for him that he has this newfound recognition, and that people are pointing out his qualities, and that like they're liking that and actually speaking kindly of men, because Jesus doesn't like abuse on any group. He does feel like the masculines, you know, have been getting beat up. But anyway, that was one for the star seeds. Do you guys have any questions as we're going along? What do you think about what Jesus said about Brittany and how she's probably going to have to stay in Russia for a year. Oh, you love Keanu Reeves? Yeah. He's now like the poster boy for Starseeds, Jesus is saying. So it's awesome. Jesus is really happy about that. Do you guys agree with that dark moment? Oh, thank you. Helpful insight. I hate to tell you that she's going to have to stay there. They're saying it's not going to be 10 years, but guys, please, when you travel, we have to understand that each country has its customs. And this is like a worldwide lesson that we're learning about boundaries. And people have to understand that Americans have rules, culture, and boundaries. It's wonderful that we help other countries and we have open borders, and we have a huge immigration system, and it's one of the most generous and it's one of the largest immigration systems, and many people don't understand that that as Americans we have boundaries, we have customs. I know as a world traveler with my company, we had to learn like every country, and we took tests on what's acceptable, but people don't really do that with us. They oftentimes tourists in New York, they try to force their country's norms on us instead of figuring out and respecting what our norms are. Like, you know, if you get good service, you would tip 15-20%. Like they don't want to accept that, and it's too bad. That's what we have, a culture. We have cultural norms. We as people have, all of us, no matter where we're from. And Jesus says it's great that we're like very self-deprecating, and yeah, like there's a running joke on the internet of like how many Americans don't know another language, and then you go to another country and they know their language and they know English, but that's for commerce. For us, what language would you pick? Like for me, my family's Armenian. Am I going to know English and Armenian? And then what other countries? There's so many. So which one should I pick to know another language of, you know? So I traveled in and out of countries for 29 years. And, you know, they would get so upset. I would know how to say hello, how are you? And make basic conversation, but no, I couldn't study every single language as a traveler. And, you know, anyway, I tried, but they need to try. So, let's see here. Do you guys have any questions about that? Thinking back, I have some. So I talked last week about how things are getting wacky, like with amusement rides, accidents, things breaking, things falling. And one of the reasons is Jesus really wants us to, yeah, when in Rome, exactly. But Jesus wants us guys to really, really get in touch with our intuition. So for some, not for some, but okay, let's see. Let me calm down a little bit. I get so passionate. One more thing, Brittany had CBD oil. Are you sure it wasn't THC? Because I heard in some reports they said THC. They said she had some in a vape. Is that correct, guys? You know, we got to make sure we get the right news too. Ooh. Sorry, my muscles are shaking. Let me put them down. Whew. So, because of the spiritual warfare and the dark reptilian energy feeding off of people right now, that's what's going on. Is you know, they show us in movies and old cartoons of angels coming in to save you, but physically coming in, which they can do. But oftentimes it's them telling you, like, stop, you know, look to your right, look to your left, you know, that person is sketchy, or it's time for you to go home, things like that. That's your intuition talking. But guys, oftentimes that is spirit talking to you. So when we are stressed, depressed, or when we are in a negative state of mind and we're listening to that dark reptilian energy, that's when we lose our connection to spirit, and we're not paying attention to their messages. When they're actually with us, we're not paying attention to our messages. And Jesus is saying, have you ever noticed, like, when you're in a bad mood, that's when, like, you might get in an accident or stub your toe, because you've disconnected from your intuition. And this is connecting back to being with narcissists. Guys, every minute you spend with a toxic person, you are losing your connection to spirit, because you're using your energy to fight their they're pulling on you. They have a vampirical effect. They're pulling your energy. So as you are fighting that, have you guys ever noticed that when you're with toxic people, or you're in a toxic environment, toxic company, that bad things happen? And it doesn't look like anyone's even, like, doing anything on purpose. It's just there's more accidents and more errors and things like that. Let me look here to see if I missed anything. Yeah, listening to our intuition. So you have to understand, in order to keep yourself safe too, if somebody is toxic, narcissistic, dark reptilian, and they're not listening to their spirit team, their spiritual team, well, they're listening to the dark reptilian talking to them, they're not safe to be around. They're going to cause accidents. They're going to be negligent. Their bad things are going to happen to them. So if you have, like, a toxic family member and you're like, oh, you know what, I'm only going to go stay in their house just for Christmas because they're family, and you know, they have the car, I'm gonna let them drive. Like, guys, that's when bad things can happen to you, because of their energy. It's all energy. Does that make sense? So it's like physically important for you to pay attention to that. Let me see. Lucky Love. Can there really be a spiritual? Oops. Sorry. Can there really be spiritual contracts and demons associated with you? Medical insurance. I was told that I had an attachment in this way from surgery. Interesting. So from trauma. Okay. You can be a victim of trauma, especially in the way that John Bonet was. So, you guys understand what I'm saying. Yes, that is possible. Definitely with starseeds. Starseeds are, empaths. You guys understand. We are targeted by the dark reptilian energy. So yes, that is how that energy gets through. I've had traumatic events. Jesus has told me that I did have a dark reptilian energy come in, and it did have a negative influence on me. But one way you can combat this is when you pray, guys, or you use a pendulum, or you do tarot. One way that you can fight that toxic voice is to Spirit says talk to them, but don't talk to them out loud, okay? And this is something I'm sure you've heard mediums talk about, maybe not in this exact way, but people talk about spells and spell casting, and they break down the word spelling. And oh, God bless you too, Gage the Fox. That's okay. You have a good evening. As we get closer, there's an eclipse tonight. I think it's at 9:30, so I have to be aware of that. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so when you speak something out loud, it's like a spell, and it's like you are offering that up for the universe to hear. If you pray silently, especially using tarot cards, and this is for your own personal connection to spirit, using runes, tarot cards, candles, things like that. Guys, try this and let me know if this works, especially for those of you that use pendulums. Pray in silence. Listen to the answers in silence, and that will be between you and spirit. They said the reptilians can hear your prayers if they have connected with you before, but they're not, it gives them less energy when you don't say things out loud. So I've learned that. Jesus taught me that. So, last week, let me look at these. I might have missed some. Last week I was with this toxic guy who was in a good mood. Then within a few hours, he got very violent with me and said it was my fault. And then, oops, sorry. Let me get here. And then he said, oh, I'm sorry. I'm a victim of trauma. Oh my God. So classic. So I would love for you to watch the Amber and Johnny trial. And then there's a private conversation they just had with Amber and Johnny where she's asking him, like, do you love me? Do you love me? And it's so narcissistic. He said, how can you ask me that after everything that you've said about me and everything you said in court? And that's just a classic example. Like, that guy, that toxic guy, he's just testing your boundaries. he's just, you know, seeing if you stay with him, then you're basically saying like that behavior is acceptable. And I know that's really a tough pill to swallow. And you could try to like be friends with him and um I don't know how much of a relationship you're in with him, but you could try to just go backwards and meet him for coffee. But violent is he said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a victim of trauma. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't cut it. Many people who are victims of traumas are not violent towards other people, and that just sounds like a really lame excuse. And definitely someone with that excuse is going to, I'm pretty much guaranteed that he would do it again. The true story behind Jesus's birth. Okay, so Jesus is a starseed. He is Pleiadian, Arcturian, and a tall white. His parents, Mary and Joseph, are the same. Jesus represents the Pleiadians when he comes through to me. So before they came here, it was already a plan that they were going to be mediums, and the other mediums, John the Baptist, and the other mediums that were already there, they anticipated his birth because they were told from Spirit, from the other, the Galactic Federation, they were told that he was coming. And Mary and Joseph knew that he was coming, and they knew that it was their job. Let me answer that. So they knew that it was their job to tweak. They were tweaking and it was an experiment, guys. They were tweaking the Jewish religion. Things were going dark, like they are now. And that's why now you'll see like myself and other mediums and other all kinds of people are connecting to Spirit and speaking out the same messages. These messages, especially my connection to Jesus, they're very similar to the messages during other dark times. And they were simply here to spread those messages. And yeah, was it a miraculous birth? No. So that has been fabricated. Mary and Joseph were married. They were twin flames. They still are twin flames. Their energy is always together. That was fabricated. So they were just a happy couple. They were humble. Joseph was a carpenter. Jesus was born into them, that family. He was very happy. He became friends with Peter, and Peter and John, and like that whole group, they were all mediums, all of the disciples. But Jesus's besties were Peter and Peter's brother and John, and let me think, I have to remember. Let me just. Yeah, he's saying it was all of the disciples. They were all friends. They all hung out together. Um, yeah, so they were all mediums, guys. Dude, how many siblings did Jesus? You told me this before. This has been kind of confusing because the the um, the disciples called themselves brothers. So sometimes when I ask Jesus, he'll give me different answers because he calls all of the disciples his brothers. Um, if you guys hold on 1 second, I have it written down. I'm just going to put you down for a minute. Okay. All right, you guys still with me? He wanted me to find my notes because I wrote this down. Okay. I heard from another medium. Jesus said his mother was raped by a Roman soldier. That's not what he told me. But guys, listen to other mediums and see what you resonate with. So, yeah, I wrote this down before. Jesus' close friends were Peter, also known as Simon, Saint Matthias, James the Less, Saint Bartholomew. His besties were Peter, James, the son of Alphaeus, and John. That was his close knit group. And he's just saying they're all his brothers. And so when I was practicing spirituality and witchcraft more, I had more anxiety and paranoia episodes. Okay, so let me get a sip of tea here. I've been talking for a while. Sorry, guys. And sorry for the weird camera work. Let me get some tea. Okay, let me read that again. Uh, yeah, Jesus is saying no. He was definitely, that did not happen to Mary at all. Um, she was with, she was with Joseph, and that was part of the smear campaign. Yeah. So think of the smear campaign that narcissists have always been narcissists. Dark reptilians have always been dark reptilians. They play by the same playbook. Jesus is saying, what happened during that time is what has always happened. It's the same scenario. The scapegoating. Jesus was scapegoated. All of the disciples were scapegoated. Mary and Joseph were scapegoated. Most of the disciples were crucified. Saint Bartholomew was skinned alive. So what starseeds and empaths, spiritual people, healers, what we go through now is exactly what they went through then. So yes, when you do awaken to your spirituality, you awaken to your gifts. It is sometimes, not always, depending on your environment, your family, what protection you have, it's as if you have, he's showing me, what is it, on your back, a mark on your back. You're a target. You become a target because you're now trying to work for the light. When you work for the light, you become a target. And that's when you have to learn how to protect yourself, how to protect your energy. And sometimes, yes, you might feel a little paranoid because you're starting to open your third eye, and many light workers had a hard time in their life seeing evil. They have a hard time looking in people's eyes, seeing people's intentions, and it's not until they've had a lot of bad things happen that they start to learn how to, it's very hard to understand how someone else is thinking. Like if you watch that, Jesus is talking about that movie Saved. If you watch that movie Saved and they have the inner dialogue of all the kids, and then they have that one kid that's just like wants everyone to be happy and he looks like the odd one in that movie. I was watching that movie and I was like, I'm that kid. Like I would, hang out with other kids and be like, I guess it's considered to be really dopey. That kid was, it was a joke that he was like, they would go to his inner monologue and he was like, he's like, oh, I hope yeah, the movie's name is Saved. It's Saved with a D. I actually watched it as an adult because, I wasn't that age when that movie came out. Like, I'm sure all the teenagers of that time watched that movie, but I just happened to see it later. And I was just like, oh my God, like I'm that kid. Like the other kids, the other people in that movie, they did their inner dialogue and they were conniving and manipulating. And, I was that kid that's just like, I'm gonna go see how my friend is doing, and I'm gonna go to their baseball game and cheer them on, I'm doing all kinds of weird things with my camera. Let me go back and see the messages. Okay. So anxiety and paranoia episodes, yes. Because when you open your third eye, guys, and you open your intuition, you're going to alert the dark reptilian energy, because they don't want you to be in your power. And also you're going to you're going to hear your own spirit guides, you're going to hear your own intuition, and suddenly you're going to see the reality of a lot of the darkness around you, and it's actually quite scary in the beginning. Does that make sense to you guys? So let's see. And also witchcraft. I don't know what kind of witchcraft you are practicing, but you have to be careful. I personally don't do any casting, any spell work, any manipulating of other people's energy. I pray. And okay, guys, let me just tell you this. This is really important before we move on. There's, I'm sure you've heard this before, but something that changed my life is I silently, and I was told this by another practitioner at some point, but I actually finally did it. I silently sat and I said, you know, to my spiritual team, which I didn't know who they all were yet, I said, I think I just prayed to God and whoever's watching over me, I said, thine will be done. So what, please, at this point, I give myself over to you, and guide me to do what is in my highest good, the highest good of those around me, and guide me to do what I was here to do, what my purpose is. So it was extremely general, and that's when my life changed. Within the matter of months, my whole life changed. And at first, it seemed a little dramatic, but then I just kept getting more and more and more messages, more guidance. And at first I thought I was being punished because of the way that things manifested. But then as time went on, I was shown that, I wasn't punished, that I was just being redirected. So movie name is saved. Yeah, right out of my prayers, and use like herbs and oils and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's great. Like, your spiritual team loves, and I'll make a video about this, like what my spiritual team has told me, like the scents that they like. It's most of the scents that you would get at, a metaphysical shop. And then they've added, they just love when we cook, when we bake. They love garlic, they love onions, and the dark reptilian energy does not. So that whole thing with garlic and vampires, dark reptilian energy doesn't like, garlic is very, very healing, as well as onions, ginger, all of these scents, taking care of yourself, cooking in your home, cleaning your home, all of these herbs, salt baths, and all of this. This is all like self-care, self-love, positive. We have to go back to good old common sense, things that we love. Like, we've gone through this analyzation of a society, this intellectualization of things, where we try to talk things over with the masses on the internet to see what we should like. And Jesus has often said to me, like, the things that we like because they're positive. The rain and the sun and the ocean, the dirt, good food, the animals that they, the food that they've given us, that it's most people's like favorite food, and yeah, exactly. But what do I do but also make offerings to other deities, and how does Jesus feel about that? Um, it depends on the deities. Is it, if it's dark or light? Like, do you know who the deities are and what they're connected to? Do you have a connection with them? Does it feel positive? Um, Offering up, you know, only like deities? Um, or do you mean light? Um, Light, only light. Yes. Well, use your intuition. I know, I've often said who my spiritual team is, but Jesus has said that there are, you know, um, offshoots. Like, I've recently talked about Admiral Ashtar, is of the lineage of Archangel Michael, and is a messenger. So you may be just dealing with messengers, but if you're being told that they like this certain scent and it feels good and you feel like you're connecting with them, then of course, But let me tell you what dark reptilians like, so you can just avoid that. They like smoke. They love smoke. And a lot of dark reptilian people, these are a lot of the people who, not necessarily, but they can like smoke cigarettes and cigars, and they're the types that some of them don't get sick. And I know this is crazy, but you'll see the cranky old person who can like smoke a pack a day. Now, this isn't across the board, but definitely, if you guys are light workers, have you noticed in your life that you can't hang? Like, when, so when you were maybe growing up, did you have some toxic friends who could eat more junk food than you, or drink more alcohol, or do more substances, or get less sleep, or things like that? That is real. Uh, Jesus has told me dark reptilians can be around toxic things and not have it affect them as much. Loud noises, toxic noises. And I will make a video about this, but Jesus said just use your common sense, like things that you naturally like, spirit likes. So if you like those herbs and you find them to be positive, spirit will probably like them. But uh, dark reptilian energy likes noise, chaos, violence, smoke, bad breath, things like gingivitis, bad health, being not showering, not bathing, dirty environments, smelly environments, negative environments, very dark competitive environments. Not like sports, but like backstabbing environments, toxic chemicals, toxic smells, cheap fabric. Jesus is telling me about this time, guys. In my first acting class, I had to do a scene where I played a homeless person, and I was supposed to cry. And I actually had a very toxic acting teacher, and there were a lot of toxic people in the class, and they knew that I was new, and everybody was like, oh my God, what is she gonna do? It's her first scene. And toxic people are not supportive, and they didn't take the acting class to for good intentions, like so they could really enjoy their acting, and others could. It was all about nervousness and tension and fear. So all I did was I went into my roommate's closet and I saw this sheer polyester shirt, and I put it on and it was tight and it was dusty because she didn't wear it. It was out of style, and it was tight and it showed like my breasts and everything like that. Of course I wore like undershirt, whatever, but it was so disgusting and it was a bad color for me, and I knew I looked gross and ugly, and I didn't wear makeup, and it was a dirty shirt and it was really uncomfortable. And so right before the scene, I put that shirt on, and as I talked about, the dialogue of being a homeless person, I felt that shirt scratching me, and I could smell the dust from it. I just started crying, and my my acting teacher was like, "Oh my God, like how did you do that?" And I never told anyone, but gross, dirty, yucky things. I'm sure a reptilian created polyester, and Jesus saying, okay, like some polyester is all right, like mixed in. My spiritual team is really into fashion. They're really trying to get me to be more fashionable, I guess, like I used to be. But yeah, anything that's scratchy, uncomfortable, cheap, highly flammable, things like that. I'm gonna make a whole video. I keep saying, you guys, okay, how does karma really work? Oh yes, vanilla. My spiritual team loves vanilla. Karma is a very complicated. It's very complicated, guys. But when we talk about HE double hockey sticks, what it is when we pass, we become, we're on the other side, we're enlightened. We want to be part of, when we pass, we want to be part of Jesus's team. Like that's where it's at on the other side. Everybody wants to be a part of that. In fact, I was thinking of, like, he said, don't do it, just do. I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm going to make t-shirts that say this. But anyway, it's totally different than it is here. So when we pass, we do a life review, and we are shown the situations where we harmed others, where we caused harm, and we're shown actually the different paths that we could have taken had we like stayed on our course, had we done what we set out to do before we came. And the more you stray from that, and the more you've hurt people, on the other side you will feel that, and that's what is called HE double hockey sticks, is you feel it, and there's nothing that you can do about it except come back and try it over again. So some souls just sit in that. And if anyone here has had a dark night of the soul, I had that. Oh, good, you're getting into fashion. Yeah, Jesus is really into that, guys, because many people, many star seeds came here. Hold on, Lucky, I'll talk about that. But many star seeds came here to be in the fashion industry, to have flair, like that movie Office Space. And many star seeds came here to dress well and to be successful. And yes, I know the dark night of the soul, I'm getting into that. No. I understand. I knew exactly what you meant, but I'm going to get back to the dark night of the soul. But yes, guys, you've had a dark night of the soul too. Yeah. What Jesus is saying about dark night of the soul is yeah, don't worry, Lucky. So that is dark night of the soul is having your life review while you're still alive. So it's HE double hockey sticks while you're still here. And we actually have the blessing of the dark night of the soul. And for many people, spirit will take everybody out of your life. And now they're going back to Keanu. Keanu, when he was in 2019, you can look it up. He was spotted on his birthday having cupcakes alone. And he bought other people. That was a spiritual test for him. Everyone had been removed from his life because spirit knew what was coming up for him. And so they took everybody out. That's why he was alone on his birthday. And he was sad, but he took that energy, he turned it around by being generous towards others, which is a very common thing that spirit recommends. Is when you're going through a dark night of the soul, they said it's okay to feel sad. It's part of the purpose. Sadness, depression can, if it's not that clinical, brain chemistry type, that is a guide that's moving you out of a situation into another, and it's necessary. Unfortunately, with people, especially star seeds, are very sensitive. Some star seeds don't make it through a dark night of the soul. Like, they don't understand what's happening, and many will take themselves out because it is so painful. And star seeds love connecting with others, and star seeds really need, like, Jesus has really been very clear with me that star seeds really like to be in love, and that's a good thing, even though many of us have talked ourselves into, oh, we have to be strong, we have to be independent, we have to do everything on our own. There is a time and place for that, but ultimately star seeds love, and they love connections, and they love being with people, like the right people, and being with their soul tribe. And like my whole spiritual team, they're pretty much like a think tank. And so, when I went through my dark night of the soul, I was like devastated, because for me, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, this is my team. I've spent lifetimes with them. I'm part of this think tank. And so I didn't have that. I had to stand on my own, but it was necessary for me to switch paths. Like, it's just necessary that, you cut ties. But so it's interesting that you guys have all had this dark night of the soul. Yeah, do you do personal readings? Oh, okay. So listen, I'm being called to do this on YouTube right now and not do personal readings, but that will change. I have done a few of, like, some people have asked me, and Spirit co-signed it, because they said you have to talk to this person, and so I did, but I will let you all know when that changes. I'm being held up a little bit right now with these readings. I have a waiting room of people who want to speak. And Jesus wants me to come on every Sunday and talk to you all. And now I can see the time. It should be, I should get going soon, but let me look through the comments and make sure make sure I was clear about everything. But Lucky, I will be doing readings at some point, okay? Yeah, and I'm sorry you guys had a dark night of the soul. Egyptian. Oh, Egyptian. Yes. So, okay. Um, Interesting. So, Jesus has told me um, star seeds were huge in creating the um, the um, the pyramids were created. They gave the ideas to the tall whites, like the engineering plans, and it wasn't heavy Pleiadian in Egypt, but it was heavy Arcturian, and you can see that with all of the gold and the eyeliner, of that time. So you might, Lucky, you might have heavy Arcturian, but definitely yes. Jesus is saying no problem praying to that group. But you guys, I'm gonna get going, okay? It seems like, oh, a DM on Instagram about readings. Oh, that's okay. Um, oh, thank you too, Wisteria. And I will, guys, I will let you know when I can do personal readings, okay? Oh, thank you, Lucky. Um, you guys are the best for tuning in and listening to me ramble and supporting my channel. Oh, you had fun? Oh, good. Um, oh, thank you, Rosa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you to my spiritual team. Thank you to God, Jesus, Archangel Michael, Metatron, Archangel Eric Medhus, Archangel Gabriel, Mother Mary, Father Joseph, Archangel Sandalphon, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Azrael, Archangel Jophiel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raguel, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Ezekiel, Archangel Haniel, and Archangel Daniel. And thanks, you guys. I will see you all next week. All right. Bye. Have a great week.